bid welcome to Stephen Shapiro.
So I'm curious, how many of you have been told and believe that in relationships, opposites attract? How many people? Yeah, most people. So let me tell you something. It's not true. There's irrefutable scientific evidence that, in fact, opposites repel. It's true. I mean, let's think about it for a moment. If you look at our political systems, like in the United States, if opposites attracted, we would have Republicans and Democrats hugging in the aisles. We'd have no political mess. We know that doesn't happen. And I also know in personal relationships, yeah, you might say your partner is your opposite, but are those the things you compliment them on? Usually not. So now this is really important. If we actually believe that opposites repel, and therefore we want to surround ourselves with people who are like us, there are significant implications for the workplace. What ends up happening is we inadvertently, subconsciously hire people who fit the mold, people who are like us. We talk about in the business world the word culture. The culture of an organization. I don't know if they use that a lot here, but in the US we use the word culture to describe the attributes of an organization. Now what's really interesting is if you look at the origin and the definition of the word culture in the dictionary, it's related to the word cult. And cults are things where people think the same way, act the same way, talk the same way, use the same language, have the same acronyms. This is what we do inside of organizations. We create homogeneity. We create people who think the same way in the belief that that is good for the organization. Now, in fact, it is good for the organization. Scientific evidence shows that when you have homogeneous teams, that is, you have people who think the same way and can talk the same way and agree with each other quickly, you have efficiency. So you can get things done quickly. If you have a bunch of yes men and yes women, clearly you're going to make progress. The only problem is that when we have people who think the same way and act the same way and talk the same way and believe the same things, it is the antithesis of innovation. Innovation thrives on divergent points of view. It is the bringing together of different perspectives. And if inside of an organization you have this cult, you have it where everybody's just nodding their head all the time, well, look, you're not going to have innovation. Also, equally important, is the odds are you're going to have a lot of people who are unhappy in the workplace. Because here's the thing, individuals have personalities, teams have personalities, and organizations have personalities. And if the personality of the organization is not consistent with your personality, you may not feel like you fit in. And what happens is organizations use one-size-fits-all strategies for motivating, retaining, and recruiting people. That means that a large percentage of the people inside the organization will be unhappy. So one of the things that I did a number of years ago was recognizing the fact that organizations are not designed for innovation and organizations are not designed for happiness. I created this thing called personality poker. And you will notice that you have in your name badges, in your cards, you have 5 poker cards. So what I want you to do is I want you to take out your 5 poker cards. Now you will notice that these are in Danish. Alexander and I a few years ago got together and he said, this is great, I want to use this for happiness at work. And so we translated these cards into Danish. And so fortunately they translated the Danish back into English for me, so I know what I have in my cards here. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at your 5 cards. We're going to use this as a way of assessing your personality, the personality of your organization, and what makes you happy. What makes you happy at work, and how can you make others happy at work? So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the 5 cards, and I want you to sort them from most like you to least like you. Most like you to least like you. So if I look at my cards, I have... The one that's definitely most like me is spontaneous. The next one would be disorganized, followed by skeptical, empathetic. But the card that is least like me is discipline. I lack all discipline. Is there anyone in the room that thinks that the disciplined card would improve your hand? That is, you would like to trade a card in your hand for my card. Anybody? All right. What woman in the back there, what card do you have that you'd like to trade? I saw somebody's hand back here. Which card would you like to trade?
I don't know what it's called in English.
That's adventurous, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. My Danish is actually pretty good. All right. I will accept the adventurous card. So you'll see what we just did here. We're going to go through this process in a couple of seconds where you are going to trade cards in order to get the 5 that best describe you. A couple of important things. First of all, you want to sort the cards and keep the cards not based on what your strengths are. This is not a skills or strengths-based test. This is what makes you happy. So there's certain words you're going to look at and say, hey, you know what? This is something which, when I'm at my best, when I'm happiest, this is who I'm being. So like adventurous, the card that I just took, that's me. I love to travel. So choose the cards that are most like you. Now, you'll notice that there are cards that have the number 2, 3, or 4 on them. How many of you have a card with 2, 3, or 4 on it? Okay, most of you. Great. For those of you who have a 2, 3, or 4 card, how many of you would like to get rid of your 2, 3, or 4 card? Yeah, most of you. Okay. So an important point here. The 2, 3, 4 cards represent the unproductive side effect of your strong suit. So, for example, being organized and methodical, that is a really good thing. But in English, we'd call it anal retentive. I don't know actually how you'd say that in Danish, but all right. So, that's sometimes a little annoying. Or being analytical. That's great. But being a know-it-all, not so good. Or being empathetic is great, but being overly sensitive, not so good. So you get it. The 2, 3, 4 cards represent the unproductive side effects. Now here's the thing. We always want to get rid of these cards. I want you to keep at least one of the 2, 3, or 4 cards. So when we're done with this trading, you need to have one of those in your hand. Here's the reason. As human beings, we are very adaptable. We can become good at a lot of different things. But we know who we are when we're at our worst. The 2, 3, 4 cards actually represent our sins, and we are better at determining who we are from our sins than our virtues. So we're going to go through 2 rounds of trading. This first round of trading, again, it must be a mutually beneficial trade with another person in this room. You can't just reach in somebody's hand and grab a card that you like. We will do this trading for 3 minutes. It will get really loud in here. So I found a very simple but not elegant way of getting people to listen to me. What I'm going to do is, after 3 minutes, I'm going to go shh. And what I want you to do when you hear that is I want you to stop talking, and I want you to make the same noise, and I hope within 3 seconds we can have the whole room in a big sea of shushes. It works very well. I've done it with 1,000 people before, so I think we can do it here. So we're going to do this trading. At the 3-minute mark, you do not sit down because there'll be a second round of trading. This is also a chance to meet some people that you don't know in the room. Again, we're going to do this quickly. 3 minutes to do some trading. Go for it. Oh, fantastic. That was excellent. All right, nobody sit down yet. How many of you have 5 cards that when you look at them, you say, yes, this is me? All right, so there's a few of you. We have a little more work to do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a chance to improve your hand. We have decks of cards. Kathy, Stephen, you around somewhere? Where are you? There you are. Okay, I see it. Great. So what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to take cards and we're going to throw them all over the floor. You're going to have to get on your hands and knees to get the best cards. And there's a limited number of each card, and we're going to do this for a limited amount of time because we do have a short amount of time together. So here's the thing. I want you to go through this. When you find 5 cards that you think best describe you, you have the option of doing one other thing. How many in the room know someone else in the room quite well? Excellent. As you're on your hands and knees looking at the cards, If you see a word that describes someone else in this room, feel free to pick it up and give it to them as a gift. I'll let you know right now, the Bossy card is one of the most frequently gifted cards in the workplace. What I need you to do, though, is when you receive a card from someone else, keep it separate. So you're going to choose 5 cards for yourself, and you'll get 1 or more gift cards. Keep those separate. When you have 5 cards that you like and you've given someone a card, please take a seat so that we can make room for other people, because it's going to be crazy in a moment. We'll do this for less than 5 minutes. Hopefully we can get this done as quickly as possible. Kathy, Stephen, are you ready? All right, here we go. We're going to do them all around the room, in the corners, in the back. There you go. One other point I forgot to mention, there is hidden amongst all these cards one joker. If you find the joker, I will give you a copy of my personality poker book. We've got cards all over the back there and all over the sides. People will be making room shortly. Or trade amongst yourself if you can't squeeze in right now. All right, we're ending it in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, time to figure out what this all means. Did anybody find the joker? Nobody found the joker. Oh, you found the joker? Come on up. There you go. Thank you. Okay, whenever we do these trading, everybody always wants to know, what does it mean? Well, in personality poker, the suits, the colors, and the numbers all have meaning. So we're going to go through this at a very, very high level today, just to give you a taste of it. Now, what I need you to do is first, we're going to start off with the suits. So does anybody in the room have what's in poker called a flush? It's rare in poker. It's even rarer in personality poker. Any flushes, 5 of the same suit in this room? What do you have? Okay, great, excellent. Anybody else? 5 of the same suit? Okay. How about 4 of the same suit? Suits being spades, clubs, hearts, or diamonds. Great. How about 3 of the same suit? 2 of the same suit? 1 of the same suit? All right, if you had 3, 4, or 5 of the same suit, for the purposes of this exercise, select that as your primary suit. Spades, clubs, hearts, or diamonds. If you only had 2, that means you're slightly schizophrenic, but that's okay. At the bar later on, you'll have a chance to really discover the true you. Now, if you only had 2, I want you to choose the word or words that really call you forward, the one that resonates with you most. Here's the thing, I promise you, by the time I'm done, you will know who you are, and more importantly, who you aren't. Because who you aren't is actually, in some respects, more important than who you are. So if you only had 2, choose the one that feels right. Sometimes the 2, 3, or 4 card is the best determinant of who you are. We're going to go through this rapid fire. What I need you to do is I need you, if you are a spade. For those of you who don't know what a spade is, on the back of the card, that is a spade. This is also my attempt at drawing a spade. How many of you in this room are a spade? I've got maybe, I don't know, Alex, what do you think, about 10%? We'll say 10%. Good. Now, I know that spades sometimes are a little quieter than some of the suits. So I need you to shout it out. What are words that people would use to describe you if you are a spade? It could be from the cards. It could be what people say at home, at work. How would people describe you? Okay, quiet. I was right. Well, here's what we find. Well, first of all, I know when I do a lot of corporate audiences, there's a lot of people at this point who have their arms crossed. And I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, what is the scientific validity of personality poker? If that's going through your mind, you just might be a spade. Spades love Excel spreadsheets. Here's the thing. Spades love facts. They love data. They're very analytical. They're sometimes skeptical. But they're very smart. That's the thing. Spades are smart. In fact, what they want to be acknowledged for is their intelligence. The fact that they know a lot is very important to them. Now, I said that the numbers have meaning. In the spades, not as quite as much, but the 5 through 9 of spades are the people who are really smart. The 10 through ace of spades, these are the people who are really smart, and they want you to know that they're really smart. These are the people who are into principles. Now, we know these people. These are the know-it-alls. They can be very annoying at times. But they're extremely intelligent. And when it comes to organizations, people who are rational, skeptical, logical are extremely important to the success of an organization. Let's move to the clubs. So the clubs are the other card that is black that sort of looks like a clover. How many clubs do we have in the room? That's about 20% maybe, Alex, you thinking? Excellent. Clubs. What are words people use to describe you? Let's hope it's not quiet. Action-oriented. Great. Structured. Very good. Organized. Disciplined. Right, there's two types of clubs. The 5 through 9 of clubs, these are the people who like plans. They like planning. They're very organized, very methodical. They want to know how something will be done. The process is really important to them. As opposed to the 10 through ace, these are the people who are into actions. They don't care how it gets done as long as it gets done. Now, you know these people because when we test CEOs, nearly every CEO of a major organization tends to be this 10 through ace, this high club. High action, get things done now. Let's go to the other side. Let's look at the red cards. In an organization, an event like this, I would guess there's going to be a lot of red cards. Let's start off with the hearts. I think we're going to have a lot of hearts in this room. How many hearts do we have in here? All right, Alex, what do you think that is? About 40%? All right, let's go with that. Excellent. Hearts. What are the words people use to describe you? Cheerful. And, sorry? Generous, yes. Team builder, excellent. Yeah, the hearts are very much, as you would guess, about people and relationships. So there are those who are into people, and there are those who are into relationships. And here's the big difference. The 5 through 9 of hearts. If your friends treat you as their therapist, they call you up, oh, he just broke up with me, whatever it might be, that might be a sign that you're a 5 through 9 of hearts. Very empathetic, very loyal, very compassionate. So you feel other people's feelings. Now, when we look at the 10 through ace of hearts, they're a little different. These are the social butterflies. They know a lot of people, they just don't know anyone very well. Because they're just sort of bouncing around and having a good time. You know these people. Master networkers. Finally, diamonds. How many diamonds do we have in the room? All right, well, let's see. We already had 70% on the table, so we're going to say that's 30%. Magic. Excellent. Diamonds, what are the words people use to describe you?
Innovation.
Innovation. Excellent.
Visionary.
Visionary. I'm sorry, what was yours?
Take chances.
Take chances. Excellent. Creative. Good. 5 through 9 of diamonds. These are the people who are into ideas, and in particular, new ideas. Now, they look a lot like the spades, because both the spades and the lower diamonds are very cerebral in nature. They like to think. The difference is the spades like to think about analytical things, whereas the diamonds, when we talk about creativity, The 5 through 9 of diamonds are the creative ones. They like to think about new things. They like to make connections. They like to develop new concepts. The 10 through ace of diamonds, on the other hand, are into experiences. I am a 10 through ace of diamonds. I do what I do not because of the money, but because of the new adventures. So I've now given speeches to over 500,000 people in 40 countries. That, to me, is the greatest measure of my life. My happiness comes not from the money, but from the experience, the adventure, from doing new things. So diamonds, basically what they're into is novelty. They like newness. And the one thing about diamonds that I find is they don't care where they're going as long as they're having a good time getting there. So that's really important to diamonds. Let's talk for a moment about primary and secondary style. So we had a lot of people here who had 2 of one suit and then, whatever, the other suits. Statistically speaking, nearly every person in this room will have at least one card, one suit that is not in your hand. There will be very, very few people who actually have all 4 suits. We're going to come back to this because this is very important. So what I want to do is talk about primary suits, primary styles, and secondary styles. So your primary style is the one that you chose. Now, in my case, it is a high diamond. Now, I'm also, when I play personality poker, I will usually have some spades in my hand. In particular, I love the skeptical card. In fact, Alex knows I go to Las Vegas every couple of years to go to a skeptics convention. It is 1,000 really nerdy people who talk about science and logic. Really fascinating. That's partly who I am. I'm also a bit of a people person. Admittedly, given my travel schedule, I know a lot of people. I just don't know anyone particularly well. But I know someone in almost every country. But here's the thing I know. More than anything else, I despise plans and planning. I find them restrictive. I find them limiting. And if you are a person with clubs in your hand, the odds are I'm not going to like you. This is one of the most important points of personality poker, which is the person you like the least is the person you need the most. Let me say that again. The person you like the least is the person you need the most, because if opposites repel and we tend to surround ourselves with people who are like us, and if growth and innovation is about divergent points of view, we need to partner with and appreciate the people who think differently than us. So if you look in your hand, if you're like most people, there will be a suit you do not have. When I play personality poker, there's never a club in my hand. That tells me I need to partner with a club. Let me give you a very simple example here. So a number of years ago when I worked for Accenture, I had a really large budget. I mean, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars. And so my being a diamond, my natural inclination was to find someone to partner with that was very much like me. That was just what I wanted. So I found this guy, John. John was this big, jovial, happy, total creative people person. So diamond with a heart. And I'll tell you what, it was a great project. John and I got along well together. People loved being around us because it was just fun and it was engaging and it was new. And at the end of the year, I have to tell you, it was the biggest waste of millions of dollars I've seen in my entire life. We got nothing done. So the next year, when my budget was cut significantly, I ended up partnering with a guy by the name of Ray. Now, Ray is this self-proclaimed, anal retentive, very methodical person. Every day he'd be in my face, "You're over budget. The deliverables aren't on time. Where are they?" Now, at first I found him really annoying. But in the end, when we learned to appreciate each other, what we created was something magical. When you lead in organizations, what you want to do is you actually want to lead in pairs. Lead in pairs. You want to, if you are naturally a diamond, the first person you want to partner with is your opposite, a club. If you are a spade, the first person you want to partner with is your opposite, a heart. Always find your opposite and make sure you partner with them. The person that represents the suit you do not have in your hand is the person you need the most. Seek them out And I guarantee you, you will develop more innovative, more creative, bigger breakthrough solutions than you would otherwise, as long as you take the time to appreciate that individual and what they contribute. So we're going to talk quickly about the colors, because the colors are sort of interesting. If I draw a line down the middle here, what we see on the left-hand side of this chart is what some people might call left-brained. Now, that is not true. You all have perfectly functioning whole brains. You are not left-brained. Somebody did not saw you down the middle. But it's a good shorthand. So the people who have primarily clubs and spades in your hand are going to be more black cards. In fact, here's the thing. Every person in this room, if you played the game right, will have more red cards and more black cards. Right? Okay. How many of you had more black cards in your hand? 3, 4, or 5 black cards. Okay, so maybe 30%. Now, a lot of times what we'll do is if we had more time, we'd reconfigure the room with all of the 5 black cards, 4 black cards, 3 black cards, 3 red cards, 4 red cards, 5 red cards. We get to see in an instant a snapshot of the personality of the group we have in front of us. But we're not going to do that because it takes a little bit of time. But let's talk about the black cards for a moment. So you are the ones that I affectionately say put the no in innovation. So you've got a really intelligent crowd here. I can tell when they laugh at my jokes. Very good. So now here's the thing. People with black cards, you know this about yourself. There's 2 words that come out of the mouths of people with black cards all the time. Fill in the blank for me. It's yeah, but. Yes, yeah, but. Because you're the people who have all the reasons why things won't work. Now let me tell you, in the space of innovation, this is incredibly important. Of course, if you're saying yeah, but all the time, and you're a black card, you're going to annoy the heck out of the red cards. So let's talk about the red cards for a moment. The red cards, again, often called right-brained. It is not so. You are the ones that I say, how many red cards, first of all? How many red cards do we have in the room? Yeah, okay. So we got a lot, maybe 80%, I'm going to guess, of red cards. Not surprising, because people who want happiness at work tend to be more about great experiences. And they tend to be much more about the people. They don't care about the bottom line as much. It's a byproduct of a happy workplace. Because if you have happy people, they're going to be more productive and you're going to have greater profits. But it's about focusing on the people and the process rather than the bottom line, the goal, or the outcome. So, red cards, you are the ones that I say put the fun in dysfunctional. Oh, I guess that hit a nerve. They didn't laugh as much at that one. Okay. If the leader of your organization is a red, your business may end up in the red. This is where I've seen a lot of the CEOs sort of like, really? Okay. And here's the reason why. Red cards, they like to chase bright, shiny objects. They're working on something and they're focused on it, and all of a sudden, whoa, we can go do this. This is even cooler. So reds are not great at getting things done. So again, you want to lead in pairs. If you are a red card leader, choose a black card as your partner. When you hire into your organization, if you're hiring spades, hire a heart. If you're hiring diamonds, hire a club. Build this tension into your organization. I call this playing with a full deck. Most organizations are not playing with a full deck. They have their personality, which has them retain, motivate, and recruit people in a particular way. So I'm going to talk about a couple things as it relates to happiness and close. Alexander, I know, talks a lot about 2 things that make people happy at work. One of them is results, and one of them is relationships. If you are a person with black cards, the odds are you are going to be more focused on results, getting things done, proving yourself, either proving your intelligence if you're a spade, or actually hitting the targets and actually producing bottom line results. Those are going to make you happy. Or happier. Obviously, you want relationships, but it's going to be more about the results. Whereas the red cards, you're going to be less focused on results and more on the relationships. It's about the relationships with people, but it's all about the relationships with ideas. It's about new experiences, new concepts. It's about novelty and connections. So understanding who you are is really important, but here's the thing. Understanding who you are is only one part of the equation. The whole point of personality poker is for you to understand and appreciate what someone who is different than you can contribute. Because these are the people who you will find annoying, and these are the people that you typically won't want to surround yourself with. If you can find a way of partnering with these people, not only will you be happier because you built better relationships, but you will also produce greater results. That is a promise. And that is probably the most important takeaway of all of this, is it's not who you are, but it's who you aren't and how do you work with other people. It's also important to recognize that, and I'm going to put up just so you can see that this chart really does come together into something that looks normal instead of my handwriting. The other thing is to recognize that because an organization has a personality, they're going to motivate people in a particular way. Now, there's a concept of the golden rule. Are you familiar with the golden rule? The golden rule is do unto others as you want them to do unto you. This is the worst advice you could possibly give someone. I mean, seriously, I know we've been told this since we were kids. It's the worst advice. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. How you want to be praised is not important. It's how they want to be praised. Organizations use a one-size-fits-all strategy for motivating and evaluating people. And guess what? If you are a club-dominant, large corporation, and you only motivate people based on getting things done, you will lose all your diamonds because they will not be happy. So what you need to recognize is that the way you motivate and evaluate people has to be flexible enough to address the way they want to be motivated. I have no interest in achieving bottom line results. I want to make sure that people are thinking differently, coming up with breakthrough ideas. That's what matters to me. So if you're going to evaluate me that way. That'll make me happy. So it's understanding how other people are is fundamentally, critically important. It's also really important to understand who you are because this will help you understand how you handle change. I don't have to tell you, we're in an environment where change is rapid, it is rampant, and a lot of times we feel like we're out of control. And it's just good to be able to take a step back and say, well, if I'm a spade, I tend not to like change because I want things to be a particular way. I'm used to this. And also when you're listening to other speakers, spades can be a little more cynical. So what I encourage you to do is anytime there's change, anytime you're listening to another speaker, if you're a spade, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind because that will actually help you deal with change. It will also help you get more out of this conference. Now, we had a lot of hearts in the room. Now, hearts, on the other hand, they like change, but they're going to be very concerned about the people. They're going to be so concerned. Oh, this hurts people. Look, people are more adaptable than you give them credit for. So don't become a total bleeding heart and worry about everything because it'll drive you crazy. And also, don't believe everything you hear because hearts, unfortunately, don't think quite often logically or rationally enough. People will say something, say, that's great. So for the rest of this conference, I want you to say, that's interesting. Don't accept what everybody says. Now, clubs, they're going to want a lot of organization. They're going to want things the same way all the time. Again, when change is taking place, be flexible. Especially if you're a person who took the anal retentive card. Be flexible, otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy. And for the rest of this conference, don't worry too much about how you will apply these concepts in your organization, because you're probably sitting here thinking, well, this poker stuff, this is fun, but what am I going to do tomorrow? I don't know what to do. Well, look, give that up for the rest of the conference. If you're always looking for how you will do the work, you're never in the moment actually enjoying and appreciating it. And the diamonds. Diamonds actually like change. But the problem is they just sort of like go with the flow. So they're maybe a little too flexible. Look, have a little backbone at times. You're creative. You have a lot to contribute to an organization. In times of change, you might see things that no one else does. So maybe instead of just sort of going with it, actually speak up. Provide some input. And for the rest of this conference, again, you're these people who are having a great time and you're in it more for the experience. Actually think about what are the learnings. Take on the club attributes a little bit. Figure out how will I implement this at work. So just a few tips. We only have a couple more minutes and I want to leave you with some last minute thoughts before I go. And I will be around until lunch, and we're going to have a little booth set up so you can ask me questions if you want. But a couple of quick things. First thing is, I'm proud to announce, I wasn't going to mention this, but actually Alexander asked me to. I'm proud to announce that my next book comes out September 29th. So it is 4 months and 3 days from now. It is called Best Practices Are Stupid, 40 Ways to Out-Innovate the Competition. And these are 40 very simple, bite-sized chunks and tips on how you can actually transform your organization into a fast, nimble, flexible, adaptable, innovative organization. And they all have sort of clever names. So, for example, one of the names is the top-down philosophy should be left to convertibles. So this is about the command and control and top-down structure. It doesn't work. What we know is that happiest people are the people who are empowered to do the work that they want to do. And so if we want happiness and we want productivity, we don't want to use this top-down approach. Also, what I will say is that we did hear obviously something very, very quickly. You have a couple of different resources. One is we have a video game on our website, game.personalitypoker.book.com. If you go there, it's a free video game that looks like a slot machine in Las Vegas. You can share this with your friends. You can actually play the personality poker game. We'll give you a spit out of your personality. It takes literally 30 seconds. The other thing I'll say is that Alexander and his team here do personality poker sessions in Copenhagen. So if this is something you want, contact Alexander. He can help you apply these concepts into your organization to help you become more innovative and, importantly, extremely happy. And I think you'll say that when you've used it with organizations, it has been extremely useful. The last piece. You all have these little plastic holders where your cards were in. What I want you to do before I get off the stage here is to take the card that is most like you, the one that best represents who you are. You can keep all 5 cards. Put the one that is most like you in your name badge so that it is face out, so that everyone can see who you are. On the breaks, go talk to your opposite. So if you're a diamond, go seek out a club and have an interesting conversation with them. This is what it's about. It's about making connections. Last and final point, we will leave the cards here on the floor through this next break. If you want to improve your hand, go for it. If there's a person that's not in this audience that you know and there's a card that reminds you of them, pick it up and give it to them when you leave. And if you see a card that reminds you of someone else in this room, certainly pick it up and give it to them. And all I ask is that when you receive a card from someone, regardless of what it is, there's 2 words that you will say. Tusen tak. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, please stay. Please stay. Please stay. Stephen Shapiro.
Thank you.
Stephen, I just want, while we're here, all of us, is there any questions you would like to ask right now while Stephen is still here? Or I have a couple. That's my job. Yes? Could we have a microphone, please, down there? Just a minute. Our marathon woman is coming.
A technical question. I have the 2 of hearts, and I believe when you made your figure before, you put from 5 and up,
right,
and from 10 to ace.
Right.
So now I'm confused.
So the 2, 3, 4s, these represented the unproductive side effects. So these would be the things like with the diamonds, for example, you might be disorganized or scattered, and they're not a personality trait, they're just a side effect of your trait. And so, and here's the big question which people always ask is, do you, if you are a person who is very obsessive compulsive, which would be the side effect of being a club, or if you're overly sensitive, which might be a side effect of being a heart, do you want to change that? And the answer is no. The answer is no, because as a diamond, for example, I am messy. If you go into my place, it is an absolute disaster area. But it is that messiness that actually allows me to find creative stimuli, allows my thoughts to think freely. And so by the 2, 3, 4 cards, embrace them, but also recognize that when you are around other people, in particular people who are your opposite, your 2, 3, 4 card will really drive them crazy. So if you're a person who's a spade and the card that you had was the cynical card, if you're around a person who likes to really think freely and is about open-mindedness, just temper your cynicism, because otherwise you're really going to annoy people to the point where they will not work with you in the future. They won't be happy, you won't be happy. So, but the 2, 3, 4 cards are not a personality trait, they're just that side effect. And it's just acknowledging who we are.
All right? Thank you. You know why people keep laughing when you say, if you are a spade? Do you know what spade directly translated into Danish is?
I'm afraid to ask.
Shovel.
Shovel. Okay, well that's in English it's actually pretty close too. And here's the thing is though, spades like to dig for data.
Yeah.
That is actually what they like to do.
Okay.
So it makes perfect sense. They're just digging for the truth. They want the truth, and they'll keep on digging, and they'll dig till they get to China if they have to, but they'll keep on digging till they get there.
Keep on digging. Just one final question. How do you convince your boss to play personality poker? Does he dare to?
Here's what I've found. It is a lot of people don't like personality assessments because they're sort of confronting and they're evaluative. This is a conversation. So I want to be clear about one thing. What suit you are, or what color you are, what number, does not matter. When you play this with your team, use it as a catalyst for conversations. CEOs are actually usually extremely open to anything that will very quickly accelerate the way the team works together. And as long as you don't come at it from this academic, we're going to take these big tests and put you in boxes type of thing, but say, this is a chance for our team to have a conversation in a way that will powerfully move things forward. I've never seen an executive that's not interested in it.
Okay. Thank you. Stephen
My
Shapiro.
pleasure. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks again.
Thank you.